There are moments in life when everything you thought you understood about yourself, your fears, your hopes, your future, suddenly shifts in a single heartbeat. For me, it happened under a flickering streetlight on a cold November night, the kind of night where the wind feels sharp enough to cut through bone and the world falls eerily quiet. I had pulled over on the empty road because my hands were shaking too hard to keep driving, my vision blurred by tears I kept pretending weren't there. I wasn't dangerous. I wasn't drunk. I was just broken, and trying to hide it. That was when the police car slowed beside me, its headlights washing over the interior of my car like a truth-seeking spotlight. I didn't expect kindness. I didn't expect warmth. And I definitely didn't expect the officer to lean down, study my face with genuine concern, and eventually say the words that would turn my entire world upside down. "You're not married, right? I need your number." For a moment, I forgot how to breathe. My heart beat too loudly. My confusion tangled with something else, something like hope, something I hadn't felt in years. My quiet response came out before I understood it. "We're dating. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and beautiful twists of fate, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, The Kindness Chronicles. It helps us tell more heartfelt stories like this one." I never planned to meet anyone that night. I was simply trying to survive the last 24 hours of emotional wreckage after losing a job I had poured years into, after being told by people who mattered far too much to me that I wasn't enough, that I didn't try hard enough, that maybe I wasn't meant for anything better. My whole world had cracked open, and I had been driving aimlessly because home suddenly felt like a place filled with failures instead of comfort. Halfway through my drive, the weight became too heavy, and I stopped at the side of the road, burying my face in my hands. That was the exact moment Officer Armin Mirza appeared in my life. He approached my window with cautious calm, the kind that made him feel less like an authority figure and more like someone who had witnessed human pain before and didn't want to make it worse. When I rolled down the window, I expected sternness. Instead, he asked if I was safe. Not, "What's the problem?" Not, "Show me your license." Just a simple, gentle, "Are you okay?" It disarmed me completely. Something broke open inside me, but not in a way that made me fall apart, rather in a way that made me finally feel seen. He listened quietly as I told him I wasn't doing anything wrong. My car wasn't malfunctioning. I just needed a moment. He didn't judge me for the tears I tried to hide. He didn't lecture. He didn't rush me. He simply leaned a little closer, his voice lowering, as if speaking too loudly would shatter me further. He said he understood long nights and heavy hearts. He said people forget that even the strongest among us get tired. The world outside the car was silent except for the wind and the distant hum of city lights, but somehow, inside that moment, I felt safer than I had in years. Eventually, he asked me to step outside so he could make sure I wasn't in any danger, and as I stood on the cold pavement, the wind pulling at my clothes, he took a slow breath as though choosing his next words very carefully. When he asked if I was married, I froze. Not because it was intrusive, it wasn't, but because there was something unusually sincere about his expression, something that hinted he wasn't asking for paperwork or emergency contact purposes. He was asking for himself. And when he followed up with, "I need your number," the certainty in his tone was so unexpectedly warm that I genuinely couldn't process it at first. My confused whisper, "We're dating?" slipped out, and he smiled, a real smile, one that softened every harsh angle of his face and made the night feel less cold. That was the beginning. We didn't start dating immediately. Life doesn't move like fairy tales. There were phone calls first. Long, hesitant conversations that turned into longer, effortless ones. He learned that I liked silence when I was overwhelmed but laughter when I was safe. I learned that he chose his career because he wanted to protect people, not control them. He wasn't just a uniform. He was a man who carried others' burdens without complaint, who believed in small acts of kindness even when the world gave him very little in return. He began checking on me after shifts, sometimes late at night, sometimes early in the morning. Not out of pity, but out of genuine care. He noticed things people close to me never bothered to see, how I avoided certain topics when I was hurting, how I always placed myself last even when my heart was exhausted, how I apologized for existing far too often. He became a kind of quiet stability in my life, a lighthouse I hadn't realized I needed. Weeks passed, and our connection grew in ways neither of us expected. He invited me for coffee after a long shift. I was nervous, he was tired, but somehow we both felt lighter together. Sitting across from him in the warm glow of a small cafe, I saw the human beneath the uniform. He had soft eyes, the kind that held unspoken stories. And while he listened to mine, I realized something profound. He cared, truly cared, without expecting anything in return. As winter deepened, so did our bond. He drove by my workplace sometimes just to wave. He sent small reminders to drink water or eat lunch. He made me laugh on days where I couldn't find a single reason to smile. And slowly, painfully, beautifully, I began healing. But life always tests what it gives. One evening, Armin didn't answer my messages. Hours passed. Fear clawed at me. I didn't want to be dramatic, yet something inside me twisted with dread. The next morning, he finally called. His voice was weak, tired. There had been an incident on duty. He wasn't badly hurt, but he had been forced into a situation that shook him, shook his confidence, shook something inside him in a way I instantly recognized, because I had lived it. For once, he was the one struggling. And I realized how deeply I cared for him. I went to see him as soon as I could. He tried brushing it off, telling me he was fine, but I saw right through the brave face he put on. So I sat with him. Quietly. Patiently. The same way he had sat with me on that cold November night. I made him tea. I let him talk when he wanted and sit in silence when he didn't. And in that fragile silence, something changed between us, something that felt real and unshakable. A few days later, he took me to the same empty road where we'd met. The streetlight flickered the same way it had months ago. The wind was just as cold. But my heart wasn't the same. His wasn't either. Standing beside my car, he looked at me with the same intensity as the night we met, but this time there was no hesitation. He admitted he had liked me from the moment he saw me sitting alone in my car, trying so hard not to fall apart. He said he saw strength in me even when I couldn't see it in myself. Then he asked the question that made my breath catch, the question that rewrote every painful chapter of my past. He asked if I would finally let him be part of my life, not as the officer who stopped to help me, but as the man who wanted to walk beside me in every season to come. And for the first time in years, I said yes without fear.